Hey everyone, welcome back to Shop Life. We're back again working on the shop, getting it ready so we can get back to working on cars. But as you can see, I'm just taking off a lot of stuff off of the walls. That way we can start prepping all the drywall and just clearing out this whole spot. That way we can start doing all the finishing things, do the floor, do all the paint, all the drywall, all of that. So there actually used to be a wall here where these 2x4s are on the ceiling. And I had to remove these 2x4s. There's some wiring going through them too. And I knew it for a fact once I started removing some of this 2x4, I was going to damage the drywall. And behind the drywall, there's not really any insulation as far as the ceiling is concerned. It's just like an open attic. So we had to make the hard decision, which I actually contemplated on for several days. And I mean, the cons were that it would be pretty much just a ceiling joist and you'll see the actual roof and all of that. But I did have to remove part of the drywall anyways to install a lift, because most lifts are right around 12 feet and this ceiling is right under 12 feet. And I didn't want to get like one of the floor plate lifts because that just makes it harder for me to move around, like, you know, transmission jacks and all of that. So my main choice was to go with like the same lifts I had at the old shop, a clear floor one, something that was heavy duty. So regardless, I was going to have to remove some of this drywall off the ceiling. And when I removed this 2x4, some chunks broke off and a lot of the drywall looked kind of bad anyways. So we decided to just go ahead and remove all of the ceiling drywall and have a full open concept ceiling, which we will make look good, as you'll see later on in this video. And another thing that actually made this process a little bit more difficult was that the drywall itself is not the normal 3/8, I believe. It's actually thicker. It was, I think, 5/8 inch thick. So it's a little bit heavier. Now, as we were removing this whole ceiling drywall, we found a lot of extras up in the attic. So there was a lot of extra insulation, extra wiring, and also just a bunch of unorganized wiring, which we plan to fix up once all of this drywall is down. With all the drywall removed, you can see there was like an actual walkway path that had this plywood on it. And that was mainly so you can actually walk across from one end to the other end to do any wiring or any of that. We're just going to remove all of it. And if I need to do anything up there, I can just use a ladder and get up there and just put like a floating piece of plywood or something while I can walk around. So now with all of the stuff cleared out of the top of the ceiling, we decided to prime everything. This is Selena's dad helping us with his sprayer. So he's just spraying a whole coat of primer on everything, and then we'll get to the actual paint. Now here it is, all primed. We even got some on the garage rails, which that's not a big deal because we're probably going to change out those rails or the door itself in the future. But let's see what color we decide to go with. So you can see here, we decided to go with black. Black is really good at covering everything. We can hide all the wiring. We can hide any other defects that are up there, so it doesn't have to look perfect. And once we put the lights, you really won't be able to even see up what's behind the lights. with the ceiling done, Selena's dad decided to go ahead and start priming the drywall. He loves to paint, so we let him go at it. And we actually had already remudded and retaped most of this drywall and also sanded it. That way it was ready to go. There's still a few parts where we might have to go and touch up, but the primer had to go on regardless because we didn't really know what color to choose yet. So we're just going to get this primer done and then we'll figure out the whole color scheme. While the walls were getting primed, me and Selena decided to cut off these rails. So these poles are not attached to anything. They were just cut out in the drywall that was on the ceiling. So we just decided to get rid of them. It looks better. It opens up the field of view a little bit, and it'll give us less stuff that we have to paint. So we are finally at the stage where we have all the drywall done. We've got everything primered, and now we're deciding on paint colors. So we've already done the whole ceiling black. I've already got the lights in here, so this is pretty much all the lighting that's going to be in here. I can add more if we need to. But what we really wanted to do is we wanted to paint some of the walls black and then add accent colors based off of that. So we're just not sure how dark it's gonna get. So we've got some black paint that we use on the ceiling left over. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try this out by painting the smallest wall that's in here. We're gonna paint this whole wall black, even the water heater and all that stuff. We're just gonna paint it all black and just see how it goes. If it gets too dark, then we know we gotta change up the other colors for the rest of the walls. But we still have a mystery on what we're gonna paint this wall. We have no idea yet. And then we wanna put a different garage door here because this one's just old. We just wanna put like a roll-up door, get rid of the rails. That way the lift can go right around here, and that should maximize the space as much as we can. But let's just get to it. All right, so with this wall painted, now we're gonna paint this concrete. We're actually gonna stain it black. So we gotta clean it all up first. There's a lot of drywall joint compound dust everywhere. And then there's some paint marks right here. We're just gonna clean all this off, and then we're gonna actually use a brush to put the stain all over it. Let's see how it turns out. So while Selena's brother was staining the concrete, I actually picked up this 5-gallon bucket of paint and primer all in one from Lowe's that was like pre-mixed that somebody didn't want. It is gray, but we decided to go ahead and paint the wall gray because we did the other two black. And then we're just gonna figure out, we're gonna do some kind of accent or some kind of special feature on that wall. So it's still not gonna be just plain old gray because I really didn't want that. And on the opposite wall where the stain is going on the bottom, Selena had this great idea of putting this vinyl plank flooring just so that it's a little bit different. It's not just paint, and it adds a little bit more, I guess I would say, character. That's what all these home renovation people say.
Texture.
So it adds texture to these walls. It just looks a lot better, and I think it actually came out really, really good. I mean, there's a few things that we're still going to have to figure out as far as getting it to stick on the ceiling. We're probably going to have to add some extra glue because it's the Carolinas. The weather's always changing. It's also getting humid. Then one day it'll be like 40 degrees. So this glue just doesn't have a chance to adhere really that well. So we're gonna put extra glue on the ceiling ones. Now that we have all the walls done, the next video we can start looking for a lift, hopefully find a lift and go ahead and start installing it, refinish the floors, and also figure out what we're gonna do on that accent wall for the gray wall. We're probably gonna get some kind of painting or something, we're not sure yet. Leave a comment down below with suggestions on what we can do on there. But besides that, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we can't wait to start making car content again in the new shop.